do that. Just do it like that.
Just hold it like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Okay.
So, in the New Warrior teaching, we hold a lot of our emotional traumas in the physical body. It's actually held within the structure of the body. And you were just talking about, okay, so uh, trauma comes out of language, right? And so, I mean, there's some truth to that too, because like our thoughts create fear, and then we're relating that back to PTSD. So one of I'm a believer that trauma is actually held in the physical body, and this is why people that actually do yoga and are really limber and toned, and there's no kind of place for that trauma to reside because the physical body is such a refined, tuned, finely tuned instrument at that point, So, but I'll tell you one of my experiences, which relates back to tree work about this. When I had broken up with this girl, I hadn't slept literally in a week. I just could not sleep, and my mind wasn't right. I just wasn't. I was feeling out of sorts, and so I'm out there doing tree work, and it was a rainy day, and I just thought, well, let me go do these jobs down here in Ardmore. I had two little jobs to do, so I was on that second job, put the ladder up on a tree, and it wasn't much of a tree. I wasn't really thinking much of anything, and I had an aluminum pole saw. No, not aluminum. I had a fiberglass pole saw with an aluminum head on it. I must have set a line or something with it. I don't know what I was doing with it, but I decided I would hang it, and there was a guy line coming down from one of the telephone poles. I thought, well, let me just hang it on this guy line. So I had one hand on the aluminum ladder, the other hand holding the uh, pole saw. As soon as I touched that guy line, I went, ah! Almost exactly like that for that exact amount of time. My whole body was getting shocked. I was my chest was being constricted by the electrical charge was actually making my muscles constrict. I wasn't making these noises by volition. They were just coming out of my body was doing this thing. And this thought occurs to me like, okay, I wonder if this is it. Is this how I'm going to die here? But the interesting thing was I never felt fear because fear is it's like, oh my god, you're gonna tense the body or whatever's gonna happen to your body, or sadness, you're gonna slump your shoulders. It's always a physical aspect that kind of is the ruler of that emotion. And so while the thought pops into my head, hey, I'm gonna probably die here, or there's a good chance I'm gonna die here, there was no fear involved because my body was busy going like this. So um again, I think a lot of times in the New Warrior way, that's why they want to get guys into that physical action when they're doing their guts work, when they're doing their touching some of that shadow stuff. They want to get them move. They want to get them into that physical side to kind of get that physical energy moving, and then of course once all that stuff's released, you got to put love in behind it. Now, as far as the PTSD goes, I believe that trauma is held in the physical body too, but there's something going on in the brain too. The brain gets tweaked, and then the whole digestion thing. They finding that like in order to get your gut healthy and that functioning properly, you got to get the brain healthy too. Like it's got to be like they both got to happen together, because if you don't, you can just kind of reboot your gut, but you're going to go back and develop the same kind of habits that cause those problems in the first place if you don't fix the brain too. So, so I was just watching this video with Michael Pollan the other day, and he wrote a book called How to Change Your Mind about the use of psychedelics and in treating trauma, in particular PTSD in particular, and apparently they are very, very effective at like one time, one trip, under the proper circumstances, and this you can change a lot, like so much of that story that you made up, or the way you've been interacting as a result of some particular trauma or another, you know? And a lot of that can be let go just after one and have permanent lasting effects. And they've been measuring this. And so now there's all these, you know, major institutions, Stanford and Harvard and Yale and whatever, that, you know, that are doing research, and so proud that we're doing research on these hallucinogens, you know? So I think it's not a bad idea. Of course, you have to be very, very careful, you know, because you don't really know what you're dealing with. If you go to see a Native American medicine man, he was trained by somebody that was trained by somebody that was trained, thousands of years of training going into this perspective. You know, this guy, the teaching is teaching you. Now you go see some white psychologist. Oh, here, take your little mushrooms or your ecstasy or whatever it is, and you really don't know. You know, they don't have the same kind of training. So, and certainly to do it on your own is a little bit of a role too. But I believe in prayer and the ability. You know, if you pray and you really sincerely ask for healing, and that, you know, whether it's that form or, you know, you've been meditating for years and it's done wonders, you know, to really clear out a lot of those old belief systems that just no longer serve you. You know, whatever it is, if you really sincerely are after it, you're gonna get, you know, something will come along, and you just have to be open to spotting it when it gets there. Cut.